what's going on, everybody? So we are at the last step. I've already kind of went around and taped everything up. I'm literally going to go through and vacuum my concrete floor just to get every last little bit of dust up. I have been running the fan for the last two and a half days, just kind of drying things out. Let me take you around and tell you about some of the preparations that I've done actually off the camera. All right, so one of the things that I did is I actually went back through and re-etched. And you can see that after kind of grinding this down a little bit and doing the etching process again, I was able to get that stain pretty much just almost completely gone. I tried putting on some of the etch here, the same amount that I did the other one, but it just didn't come out as much. It probably looks a little bit better, but you know what? I had seen that as long as water isn't pooling up on it, which it's not, then it should be fine. But yeah, so far I have decided I'm going to go ahead and paint the stem wall here along the edge. So everything beneath blue is what we're going to go ahead and do with epoxy. I think I'm probably even going to go in here and get the epoxy in there, even though all of my luggage and things like that's going to be on there. I don't know how well that's going to hold out because I didn't really go through prepping it that well, but it's almost kind of like an experiment. I'm going to go through and kind of vacuum up and everything, and then we're just going to roll the epoxy out in there and see how it goes. But besides that, I'm actually got to figure out how I'm going to set up the camera so you guys can see everything for when I basically walk out with the finished product here. So since I got to keep the garage door closed, what I'm going to do is ask my mother-in-law and wife to go ahead and paint in the edges so that once they get done with the edges all the way around, I'm then going to go ahead and come in with the roller and just start rolling all from this way all the way back to the door. So this will be the last area that I do, and I'm actually waiting for a set of cleats, spiked, basically a spiked attachment that will connect to my shoes, which will allow me to walk on the epoxy. It was only 20 bucks on Amazon. So if you're interested in doing that, I'll let you know if I think that was worthwhile or not. But the intent is you've probably seen with some of the pooling and everything through here, a lot of the comments have shown that the Rust-Oleum the product I should say, is for if the concrete is near perfect. And I am not near perfect. So I've seen anything from you need twice as much or at least a good third, 1/3 to twice as much to be able to account for all the deviations and everything. So since I'm anticipating max deviation, I go ahead and I bought 2 sets, as you saw earlier. And then we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to lay it down really heavy. So I want to be able to, as soon as I lay it down, I want to be able to go like east, west, and then north, south, and just really get in some of the areas that I think are going to require a lot of help. So plus I saw that being able to go east, west, north, south also helps with any fish eyes that may form, fish eyes or bubbles that form in the epoxy. So I saw that it will help with that. So we're going to give it a go. I'm going to try to set the camera up so you can see me, but right now let's go ahead and take a look at the exact product that I got. All right, well actually while I was kind of getting set up for the shot, my spiked shoes came in. These were about 20 bucks on Amazon, 3/4 inch spikes. This is going to allow me to basically strap them onto my shoes, no problem. And then I'll be able to go ahead and walk around while I'm laying down multiple gallons of epoxy. So real fast, let's go through what comes in one of these. So you have a whole gallon of basically part A and part B. And it comes with 2 bags of paint chips. I'm going with the white, gray, black, and blue. And then also it has these smaller activator parts. So, and then it comes within these 2 kits of etching along with the instructions. So one of the recommendations is that when using multiple kits, they want you to mix basically the part B, the color part of it. And so I'm going to actually dump out all 4 gallons into a 5-gallon container and mix it up. And what that's attempting to do is, eliminate any possibility that there's going to be color deviation. So I'm going to make it all one color. So that's the intent with that. And then once I kind of mix all that up, then I'm going to go ahead and pour them back into the containers, leaving 1 gallon in the 5-gallon bucket, and then go ahead and mix the first gallon. And so that's the intent right there. And once I get the first gallon, I'm going to have my family go ahead and do the basically step in around the edges there. And as soon as they have that down, then my wife's gonna help out. She's gonna go ahead and then just keep mixing gallons as I'm spreading out the first one or the latest one that I've set down. And then I'm gonna immediately go in with 3 gallons, because the recommendations that I've seen from other professionals, not necessarily from this, is that you need about 100 square foot a gallon. And I have just under 400. And so I want to first get that 3 down and see if at least they could have been using a different product. So I got to, kind of check for some of that variability. As soon as I get that third gallon down, I'm immediately going to make an assessment as I kind of spread it around real fast on if I need that 4th one or not. And if so, I'm just going to have my wife mix it, because I don't really have any reason to store this. I'm just going to use it, and then so be it. And like I said, I want to be able to go front, back, side to side, all over it, at least twice, as in front, back, side to side. And then once I get it all kind of laid out and everything's kind of setting, then I'm going to go around with the chips. And again, I'm going to be able to walk on top of it because I got the spikes. So normally the recommendations say, hey, do 4 foot by 4 foot section, throw your chips, move on to the next one, and while you're keeping a wet edge. Well, I'm going to go ahead and bypass that and just kind of lay it all down, because I do have concerns of unevenness in my garage. So that's the game plan. I have a plan. So the next thing it's time to do is just go ahead and sand it. So let's go ahead, vacuum, and then time to paint. Let's sand it.
The feeling's going through. It's always you. 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 Keep falling for you. Keep falling for you. Why do I keep feeling this pain? It's like I'm going for insane. It's nothing left to say. It is time, let it be. Away from me, away from me. It's always you. 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 Keep falling for you. It's always you, I'm falling for you.
coming around to look at this for the very first time after laying it down. And wow. Man, such a difference. What a difference. Let me go to wide for you guys. Man, check that out. Hey, good morning, everybody. So this is actually giving you sort of a sneak peek of what the top coat. You look down at it, it's, you really can't tell until you kind of see it at the angle. But this is sort of in a sneak preview, like I said, for the next video I'll be putting out. But the reason why I'm creating this clip is because I realized I didn't talk about some of the things that I thought worked from when I ended the last video. So what I thought that worked is definitely going front, back, and side to side. So having the spiked shoes really helped, and that given me the ability to walk on it and really go over it quite a few times, as you saw in the video. But that seemed to work really well. And to be honest, there was a point to where I thought I was getting a little concerned because the cracks that were here. When I first painted it down, I could see right through the paint, and I thought I was going to be able to see it. So I was a little concerned that I should have put on that last gallon. But when it dried, I can see absolutely nothing. As a matter of fact, there are some divots from where I kind of pulled out the different wood chunks. However, I do not see any fish eyes right now, and it looks like the one little hole over somewhere around here kind of filled in. Since it's almost 3 days, it's not I could actually walk on this floor right now. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next video, but I'm not going to. I'm going to wait a few more days. And when you see the next video, you'll know why. Yeah, this really came out. So if I were going to kind of recommend, an audible to Rust-Oleum's directions, I would definitely say invest in the $20 spike shoes, and then just lay down all the gray and go around and throw the paint chips. And the one thing that I do want to just mention finally before I go about the paint chips is, thank goodness I have it kind of sucks because I have small ceilings. It's only 8 feet. But the good thing in this case is I would literally just throw the paint chips up, let them bounce off the ceiling and fall down, and that seemed to give the best sort of random scattering that I can do. Anytime that I kind of just try to throw them out without hitting the ceiling, then it seemed like it was just a little bit more clumpy, a little bit more concentrated, but definitely it seemed a lot better spread whenever I let it bounce off the ceiling. And one last thing before I go, I forgot to mention, is that I had help. So I had my mother-in-law and my wife helping, as you saw. If I were to do this by myself, in order to do this, I would have probably had I would recommend doing 3 different 5-gallon buckets and mixing it all up at the same time, because it's a 20-minute cure time before you can actually start rolling it. At least when I did, it was between 70 and 80 degrees when I did mine. So the recommendation was to let it, before you start rolling out, that it cures for about 20 minutes in the bucket prior to pouring it out. So that's why in the video clip you saw me basically kind of standing around or just going over a few extra times, because I was waiting for that 20-minute cure time. So that would be my recommendation if you were going to do it all by yourself. But anyways, thank you for watching. Have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed this video.